Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm Karen Curry Parker, and I am excited to be talking to you today more about you as a coach and you in your coaching practice. So, we are going to every day, Monday through Friday, do short little mini lessons about your coaching practice, about you as a coach, and explore different ways that you can use quantum human design with your coaching practice or with your coaching practice or as a practice in and of itself. So just a quick review: on Mondays we talk about coaching skills, on Tuesdays we talk about how to structure your coaching practice, on Wednesdays we talk about marketing by design, Thursdays we talk about general coaching topics. We are focusing on manifesting and why that's an essential part of your coaching model. And on Fridays we focus on you as a coach, because you can only coach people to the degree to which you fully embody your authenticity, your vitality, your sustainability, and even your abundance. The more you take care of yourself and create this vibration of high frequency alignment with your sustainability, your abundance, your authentic self-expression, the more you give room for your clients to grow into, to be inspired by, and to aspire to you being they're being in the same alignment with the energy that you yourself are occupying. You've got to be having fun in your coaching practice. You've got to be loving it. You've got to be fully embodying the sustainability of it in order for you to keep doing what you're doing. And I personally believe that this work that you're doing is some of the most important work on the planet right now. The more we can fully tap into authentic alignment and abundance, the more the entire world shifts, one person by person, one client by client, one group by group. So today we're going to focus on you. I do want to just start with a short apology. I am in Washington State, where my oldest daughter is expecting her second baby. And that means most of my days right now are spent with my 17-month-old grandson, which is pretty sweet. and and it also means that it's making it a little bit difficult for me to set a schedule for when we have our live coaching sessions. So I know that some of you are hoping for a schedule. I promise as soon as I'm back in my native habitat at home, I will give you a schedule and you can consistently rely on these little coaching lessons and the timing at which they'll show up. So we're going to start today by exploring something that I actually kind of unpacked a little bit for you yesterday. Yesterday, we talked about meaning and we talked about narrative. And when we work with our clients, when we're exploring with our clients what they need to do to bring out the highest potential of who they are, we have to explore meaning. We have to explore narrative. The same is true for you. If you're not living or creating or working in alignment with your authentic self, if your narrative isn't supporting your sustainability, your vitality, your authentic self-expression, it's going to impact your coaching practice. And it's going to make it difficult for you to bring your joy and your zest and your love for life to your coaching practice. So we're going to be working on Fridays on your narrative, what you need to do to really step into a story, a narrative that sets the tone and the direction for you and your coaching practice, that brings you all the fire and the passion and the light and the love that you want to be embodying with your practice. So you're going to have a couple of tools that we're going to be working with over the next few weeks. You're going to need to have, we'll post these below. You're going to be working with a life purpose mission statement or a life purpose template. So I'm going to post that template below, or actually Jamie or Cindy will be posting it below. So you need a life purpose template below. Download it, print it up. You'll need to have it. You'll want to have it. It'll be fun for you to fill it out. Today, we're going to talk about quantum types. A couple of you have been asking questions all week. Those of you who are new to quantum human design, what is this quantum language? So we're going to be exploring what is the quantum types. And you're going to be I'm going to give you a lovely little handout. I started a big handout. I'm going to give you a big handout about the quantum types with some exploratory questions in them, things I'd love for you to contemplate over the course of the week as you think about the archetypes that you're embodying and who you are. So without further ado, I'm going to bring you into a short slide presentation today. All right. and we'll get started. So we have to start by asking the question, what exactly is human design? You all probably know, the little, human design is a synthesis of Eastern and Western astrology, the Chinese I Ching, the Hindu chakra system, and quantum physics, or Judaic Kabbalah and quantum physics. But we don't really talk about the what, if you will, of human design. So human design is a way of cataloging the narrative you're telling or the story you're telling about who you are. It's a Rolodex, if you will, of all the parts of your story and all the parts of the human story. It is a map or a blueprint for your soul curriculum and is the interface between you and your muse, or you and life's intelligence, or you and source God, or you and the infinite potential that is you. It's your interface between the infinite nature of the quantum field and your physical reality. As you've said, it's Eastern and Western astrology, the Hindu chakra system, Judaic Kabbalah, quantum physics, and the Chinese I Ching. But let's talk about for a second, what do all of these systems have in common? Every one of these systems, with the exception of maybe quantum physics, theoretically, although there are a lot of quantum physicists that talk about the quantum field being a realm of archetypes, every one of these systems is built out of archetypes. Archetypes are simply neutral thoughts, neutral potentials that don't have meaning until we give them meaning. So yesterday we talked about the archetype of being creative or creativity. Creativity is kind of a neutral word, right? It's the ability to make something, right? Or to create something. It's the meaning we give creativity that determines how we activate creativity in our own physical experience. So an archetype is an idea, a symbol, a pattern, or a character type in a story. We are each living our own personal story that is comprised of the archetypes in our quantum human design chart. Why is this important to know? Because when we get stuck or blocked, or we fail to activate the full potential of ourselves, our coaching practice, when we get stuck or challenged, we have to, knowing your human design and understanding your human design actually helps you get some headway on how to get yourselves unstuck, how to get yourselves fully activated in your creative expression, and really moving forward in a life that is in alignment with who you are and helps you serve better on the leading edge of consciousness. So the number one thing that I see people doing when they get stuck or blocked or they have a creative challenge is they're trying to create in a way that's not right for them. We all know this from traditional human design, right? When you are a specific human design type and you're maybe conditioned to be a generator type, as most of us are, then you're not, and then maybe you're not a generator type, then you're not creating in a way that's right for you. And that means you're going to hit a wall, and you're going to either hit a wall where nothing's happening, or you're going to hit a wall where you can't activate the full potential of your vitality and your energy. The other thing that sometimes blocks us is sometimes we try to create something we don't really want. We talked a little bit about that this week when we talked about marketing. When you go into business, sometimes the ideas we have about business, as an example, make us believe that we can't be who we are and have a successful business. So we start doing what I'll call band-aid creating. We start to say, oh, well, I really want to do this thing over here, but I don't think I can make money doing this thing over here that I really want to do. So I'm going to compromise and do this little thing over here that I know is going to make money. I've got tactics and strategies. I can figure this out. I can make all the money over here and then go back and do the thing I really want to do. What I see a lot, especially with coaches, because you're teaching people how to be authentically aligned, is that there's not a lot of wiggle room in creating if we're doing band-aid creating. If you're trying to create something you don't really want, but you think that's the thing that will work, the universe is pretty dialed into the fact that you don't really want that. And because the universe really, really loves you and really, really wants you to get what you want, sometimes when we try to do the band-aid thing, we don't get what we want because the universe is like, honey, stop, time out. That's not what you want. You want this thing over here. So put your energy where you really want it. So when we're trying to be something we're not, trying to create something we don't really want, something we're not really excited or passionate about, then we have a tendency to get stuck or bungled up. Reality is there's no one size fits all way to create. And frankly, the way that I teach quantum human design, while type does answer a lot of questions about figuring out what you want and doing what you want and living true to who you are, Even type isn't a big enough explanation around how each of us creates individually. And really and truly, your human design, your quantum human design, is a curriculum for exploration. It's a curriculum for self reflection, for you ultimately figuring out for yourself what is your one way to create? What is your unique way of interfacing with the cosmos? But to help, you do have to know who you're designed to be, which archetypes are part of your soul curriculum, in order to know how you create and what you truly want. And here's a little quotation for you that I love. We are each an expression of the creativity of the divine. The cathedral of our life journey is an experience of holiness. Your life is holy. This is not a building you go to, it's right inside of you, constructed every moment of your life. We build it by letting go of our need to manipulate, control, and judge, so that we may simply learn to be the creative fulfillment of who we truly are. So, in traditional human design, we have 5 types: the manifestor, the generator, the manifesting generator, the projector, and the reflector. Today, I want to unpack with you the 5 quantum human design types: the initiator, the alchemist, the time bender, the orchestrator, and the calibrator. And if you're wanting to remember to learn why we have different language or new language, go back and watch the video that I posted last Sunday before we got this started, and I'll explain to you in that video why we have different language. So your type is how your muse communicates with you. Your type is how life's intelligence actually rolls through you, if you will. It's how you communicate or dance with the cosmos. Each type has a purpose and an emotional theme. The initiator, our first type, the initiator has, the initiator has the function of translating divine inspiration into action. So I've given you a handout. Again, it's posted below. It goes into great depth about each of the 5 quantum human design types, in conjunction with some ideas about how does the masterful or the unbalanced or the challenged expression of the type show up in your life. How might you be living this either in the high side or the shadow side? And it gives you some affirmations and some things to contemplate. So I'm going to kind of whip through these slides pretty quickly. And with the awareness that you have listed below a really lovely little mini ebook that you can read and contemplate and go deeper into what I'm going to introduce you to today. So the manifestor spiritual type is to translate divine inspiration into action. Your quantum purpose as an initiator is to initiate people into the frequency of transformation and creativity by direct access to the quantum pulse. So initiators have an internal nonverbal creative flow. They have a direct connection to the cosmos. And when the timing is right, when that internal alignment happens, it's the role of the initiator to follow through on whatever that inspiration might be. And through that following through process, they create a transformational wave that initiates others into following or doing or trying or experimenting or deepening the mastery of whatever it is the initiator created. In traditional human design, we talk about the emotional theme. And we talk about the emotional theme sometimes as kind of being a doomed curse. That's how I think of it. People are doomed to experience their emotional theme. I think that we miss the boat when we don't talk about the bigger purpose of the emotional themes. The emotional theme is a signal. It's telling you something you need to be mindful of. So the signal of the initiator, that is important to understand, the signal that the initiator experiences is anger. And that signal of anger says, hey, my creative flow got disrupted. The initiator type feels angry when they're following their internal nonverbal creative flow, and that flow gets disrupted. Somebody says to you maybe, hey, do you need some help? Or, hey, what are you doing? Now you've had to stop following that internal flow. You have to put language to whatever it is that you're doing to explain it to the person who's asking you questions or who is standing in your way. And that creative energy, which I actually think anger is a bad word for this, by the way. I just think we don't have a word in English for this. That creative energy that was such a part of your flow, that is this electric, direct connection to the quantum pulse that you're following as an initiator type, when that flow gets interrupted, that energy that lightning bolt that is you has to go somewhere. And so it explodes, right? And we interpret it as anger, but maybe it's not really anger. Maybe it's creative disruption. And that anger energy is telling you, whoa, I was following a flow and I lost my connection to that flow. And if this is happening on a regular basis in your life, maybe it means that there's something going on in your life where you're not able to be authentically aligned with who you are and tap into the true nature of your power and your creative essence. So the challenge for the initiator becomes to reclaim your power and oftentimes overcome the feeling of being alone, because they, as an initiator, you are kind of an independent operating vehicle. You are designed to do things on your own, but that doesn't mean you have to be alone necessarily. The alchemist, the generator types. The spiritual job of the alchemist is to turn inspiration into form through practice and mastery. The alchemist, and this is true for all the generator types, the alchemist has a stair-step learning curve. They have surges in mastery, and then they sit on plateaus. And then they have surges in mastery, and they sit on plateaus. For them to move up the stair-step learning curve, they have to practice. They have to have experience. They have to do things over and over again to learn the cadence and to learn the ins and outs and the potential for growth in whatever it is that they're doing. Now, this isn't necessarily specifically related to a job, although it can be. Sometimes the process of mastery for the alchemist is becoming a master over life, over the processes of life. So maybe you've quit a lot of jobs, but maybe you're really masterful at starting something new. Your unique chart is going to tell you what you're here to be masterful over. And really, sitting down with someone who really knows how to interpret your quantum human design chart and really look at what is your pathway to mastery. What are you actually designed to be masterful of, according to your chart, is a really important thing to understand and know about yourself when you're looking at the narrative you're telling about who you are. The quantum purpose of the alchemist is to physically manifest form and mastery on the physical plane. The challenge, the emotional theme of the alchemist type is frustration. Every time you go up a level in the stair-step learning curve and then you hit the plateau, the generator or alchemist types feel frustrated on that plateau. And the tendency is to quit. And it's in the process of quitting that oftentimes the alchemist never gets to experience that next surge in mastery that's on its way so that they can actually become masterful. So many alchemists have a lifelong pattern of quitting and quitting and quitting every time they hit frustration. Frustration is a signal. It's telling you momentum is building. And as an alchemist type, you're here to respond to what shows up. And if you're quitting before something shows up, and sometimes, by the way, the something that shows up is something to respond to that tells you, yeah, now it's time to quit. But if you quit before the thing that's coming, if you quit before the thing that you're supposed to respond to happens, you don't get to either experience the next surge in mastery or you don't get to quit correctly. And then you actually create the potential again for experiencing more frustration, because then you get into a cycle of starting and quitting, starting and quitting, and starting and quitting, and not being able to get to that next level where you go beyond the frustration into the next step in mastery. I will share with you guys a short video that I made about frustration later on today. I'll post it in the group just to really clarify this, because the last time I said this, there was a lot of confusion. And I want to make sure you really get this, because this is sort of key for the alchemist types to know how to experience and tap into mastery. The challenge for the alchemist types is endurance, not quitting, and overcoming any disbeliefs in source that if I just sit here and wait, something will happen. Time benders are manifesting generators. The spiritual job for the time benders is to turn inspiration into form through practice and mastery. The time bender is here to physically manifest creativity and speed up the quantum process of linear time. It is the time bender that is an alchemist type, if you will, but an alchemist type that's here that is designed to skip steps. So in that stair-step learning curve we just talked about with the alchemist is the time bender that has a tendency to skip steps, to leap over some of those steps. And so on the short order, it makes the time bender look faster. In the bigger scheme of things, actually the time bender and the alchemist move at the same time. It's just the time bender tends to jump forward and then have to move back. The role of the alchemist is actually to find the shortcuts. That's a big part of the time bender process. And if we force the time bender to follow all the steps, sometimes that can actually shut down their ability to find the fastest, most effective way to do things. The emotional theme for the time bender is frustration and anger. They have the frustration of the alchemist type and the anger of the initiator types because they're kind of a hybrid of both types. So they have that same theme of creative disruption that comes from not being allowed to follow their own internal nonverbal creative flow. And they have that same frustration that comes from sitting on plateaus and feeling like nothing's happening. And so, again, the mastery here becomes to learn how to interpret creative disruption and to learn how to interpret momentum so that they are able to fully step into the mastery of being the person that finds the shortest, most effective route to do something. They also have to work with overcoming aloneness, and again, learning how to trust source so that they know that if it seems like they are doing nothing, that in fact that waiting process is essential for finding out what's the next right step to take. Of course, the challenge becomes also to surrender, to let go, to not use that tremendous creative force that is the time bender to override right timing and the right circumstances. Our next type, the orchestrator. In traditional human design, these are the projectors. The spiritual role of the projector or the orchestrator is to anchor the energetic template of what we are here to create. It is the orchestrator that sees the potential and has the ability to correct people along the way to hold the potential in place. To a certain degree, they are scrubbing, if you will, the energy of the world. They see people doing things. They know what needs to happen energetically and even physically to change behavioral patterns so that people are tending to the actions necessary to build on the material plane what the template is holding in place. And they are here to heal the planet. The quantum purpose of the orchestrators is to hold the energy template of what's to come and to clear the vibration of the collective consciousness. This is so important to understand because a lot of my orchestrator clients come to me and they say, I don't know why I'm so tired. I'm not doing anything. And I want orchestrators to understand that even when you're lying on the couch, you're basically holding the energy of the world together. And if you're tired, it's because the world's going through a lot right now. And your understanding of what's possible and the potential of the world is actually what's holding the world together. The emotional theme of the orchestrator is bitterness. And it's a theme that is ironically quite repelling. And it's ironic because the nature of the orchestrator is to need something, need recognition and attention. And if you are feeling bitter, you literally kind of push people away. But it's actually good that you're pushing people away. Because if you're feeling bitter and you're an orchestrator type, that bitterness is telling you one of two things. It's either telling you that A, you're not valuing yourself enough. And you don't want invitations when you don't value yourself, because that means you're going to take the wrong invitation because you don't value yourself to wait. You don't value yourself enough to wait for the right invitation. And number two, the second signal that bitterness is giving you is that you don't have the energy for it. And so sometimes you don't need or want an invitation, and that bitterness pushes people away because you don't have the energy for it right now. So bitterness is a signal that you need to heal your self-worth and heal your energy. So the challenge for the orchestrator type is to heal your self-worth and energy and to really work on any wounds that you might have that come from feeling abandoned by God. Why would God have made me this way? Because you have a very important role in the world. That's why. Last but definitely not least, we have our calibrator types, our reflectors. The calibrator has a quantum purpose of measuring through reflection the human condition and the human potential. It is the role of the calibrator to reflect back to us where we are on the path to fulfilling our potential. The spiritual role of the reflector is to be the barometer for the evolution of the planet. And by the way, if you want to learn more about reflectors, go check out Amber Clement's book on Amazon called Reflector, Barometer of the World. It's a really amazing read, a really great book. If you're trying to understand what are the reflectors about, go there and get that book. The calibrator tends to experience disappointment as the emotional theme. And that disappointment is actually a result of witnessing the potential of the world. All of that openness of the chart of the calibrator is also the potential for understanding and wisdom. The calibrator is very unique in their ability to see the full potential of the human experience. And when they look out into the world and they see what we're actually doing, sometimes they can be disappointed. So they're disappointed from witnessing unfulfilled potential. And on a personal level, because the calibrator decision making process takes a lot of time, calibrators sometimes don't give themselves or aren't able, because of the way our world works, to give themselves the time they need to make good choices. And so sometimes their personal disappointment is about being forced or feeling pressured to make decisions before they're ready. And so they don't get to take that time they need, and they're disappointed then in the outcome of their choices. So the challenge of the calibrator becomes cultivating the courage to extricate themselves from relationships with people who are not fulfilling their potential, because it's very easy when you're a calibrator to fall in love with people's potential. So they have to sometimes really dig deep and find the courage to say, okay, these are not my people. And they have to have faith that if they take the time that they need to make the choices that are right for them, that everything will be okay. That the pressure, that if they don't bow to the pressure and let themselves follow their own rhythm of their own timing, that everything will be okay. The bottom line is you get to choose how you play with the archetype of your type. And that is where I want to leave you today. And again, leaving you today with a life purpose template. You can fill out the section in that template about type. Next week, we're going to look at the lines of the profiles. And I did include for you a really nice workbook on the quantum types with some great contemplations and some affirmations and some explorations. So enjoy that material this week. Remember that you will be more sustainable in your coaching practice. You'll have more to give, more to share, more to be when you live true to who you are in the way that's right for you. So have a great weekend. Take good care of yourselves. We'll start again on Monday talking about coaching skills. We're going to be talking about what do you need to give your clients when they're living in the void? How do you get your clients out of the void? That's what we're going to be looking at next Monday when we look at coaching skills. Have a great time. Have a good weekend. See you later.